Okay, okay. We are recording right now. Yes, let me find the agenda. But yeah, unless there is a last minute, no. Okay, so there's nothing in the agenda, just questions and answers, or just say hello and gather together and yeah, and spend some time. Um, so yeah, I'll start myself. I'm gonna start myself. Just want to send a message to the community, which is, well, thanks for this amazing 2020. This has been the so far this has been the best year of AsyncAPI. So and uh, and we plan to make it the second best year uh, this year, right? Let me admit some more people. So I was saying that this is the best year so far, and so I'm thankful for that. It's been a tough year for many of us, probably not many of us here in the call, because we are somehow lucky that we can work from home. But yeah, for sure, everybody has a family, right? And everybody has friends, and you might have been impacted by the fucking coronavirus. So yeah. Anyway, despite the bad year regarding the pandemic, this has been an amazing year for AsyncAPI and for the community, for our community as well. I think, I hope, and yeah, let's keep growing like we're doing. Let's keep doing what we're doing. Just continue growing and being better in many ways. And yeah, and uh, and welcome Kian and welcome Swapnil, and you know, and welcome Barbania. Finally, you're not on mute.
Thank you.
So yeah, I was saying that we don't have anything on the agenda today, just questions and answers, and maybe just say hi and chit chatting. So yeah, feel free to ask any questions you might have. And
Have you planned some kind of yearly calendar for your things like conferences or something like that? Do you know, is there anything happening? You're not maybe not in your organization, but participating on targeting something with the thing. Have you have something? I was participating this API days recently,
yeah.
which was, I would say that I was surprised. It was good content. So
Yeah,
it was an interesting free 2.5 days online something. It's usually not online, I think it's but it was online and it was pretty well organized, good tracks in integration API space. So
yeah.
just saying.
So I think we chat on the last API days during, I think, after my talk. I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, I agree with you. It's I was there. It's really good content. It's really amazing job that the API days people are doing. So yeah, we'll keep participating on API days as long as they want to invite us, of course, and we'll keep participating, and we'll keep participating in other conferences, and we also have to organize our own conference this year again. So this time, I hope, is gonna take us a bit more than 3 weeks to organize them compared to last time, right? So last time we did it in less than 3 weeks, and it was like a rush. We were very innocent of us, thinking that people will not be confined in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and that people will go again to the streets and pandemic is over. And here we are, 2021, and we're about to be confined again. So, so yeah. So yeah, this time we'll do it also online, and we'll do it with a little bit more time, and also with the support of our sponsors and our partner, Postman. So yeah, we need to organize something better this time. It was great last year. And to answer your question a little bit more is we don't have a calendar. It would be amazing to have one. Now that you mentioned, it's this kind of things that I never take the time to do, and I'm just like flowing with the life, and as they come, I usually accept. So yeah, but it would be great to have something. And if you have something, if you have some calendar you want to share, I mean, please do it, because we might not know all the conferences out there, right? Related to APIs or
Yeah,
related
sure,
to
sure.
event driven. So
Yeah, sure.
Hey, hey, Fran, this is Swapnil, and let me
thanks,
introduce
Abdul.
myself to everyone. I'm working for American Express, and
Mhm,
it is my interest that brought into Async API. So, my interest into CQRS and event sourcing. So I was trying to see how we can better model Axon framework CQRS into an async API for generating documentation and generating a code on so that, because Axon server accepts everything like commands, queries, and events as messages. So
mhm,
and it is built for event-driven microservices.
mhm,
So I was going through Async API because we literally fall upon on our Google searches onto Async API. So it fits in quite well for generating documentation. However,
mhm,
when we were going through because the Async API is designed today for publish and subscribe uh, messaging models, right? Whereas in CQRS world, we publish a command and it results in certain set of events. And those
mhm.
events can be subscribed by some other event handlers. So,
Yep.
and then while handling those events, we can decide to generate some other set of commands, which will be again published onto Axon servers context, we call it. So this kind of flow, we try to model it using extensions,
Mhm,
okay? And however, in our use cases, what we see is uh, one command, sorry, one context can be published with multiple types of messages, command messages. So
mhm,
we matched it we matched it with the channel as such in the Async API document where we are publishing it. However, in one context, we can publish multiple types of commands. However, in the channel today, you only can have
uh-huh,
one publish and one subscribe operation. So Async API, so we were thinking, or you guys can tell us whether it is right way to do it or no, is allowing multiple types of publish and subscribe operations
mhm.
onto one channel, whereas today it is
Uh,
restricting to do only one uh, publish or subscribe operation, one type of onto one channel.
okay. So if, well, first of all, welcome, Swapnil. So glad to have you here. Um, and thanks for starting using this in KPI. I think your point is very valid. CQRS is not, it wasn't in our mind when we designed this in KPI. It was kind of there, but it was like a second citizen, right? And we never thought about it very well. Um, there's something that you said is that you cannot have with Async API more than one message per channel, right? Like when you want to publish more than one kind of
Type
message
of
per channel.
operation. Yeah.
Type of
Yeah.
operation. Well, a type of operation you mean publish and subscribe?
No, no. Okay. So one publish, you specify one publish operation and one subscribe operation against one
Yes.
channel. Okay,
Yes.
but operation has one message.
Yes.
Can there? But we cannot have multiple publish operations on
You
one
can.
channel.
You can have it. There is a let me find it. There is a one-off
On-off
keyword.
operation. Yep.
Yeah, one-off on the publish and on the subscribe. You can specify on the message. You can specify one-off and a list of messages, right? So it allows you to specify that it can be one of them, right? So you list there all the possible operations, all the possible messages for this operation, right?
Okay.
However, it's like it's a plain list, right? It's an array of messages, so it's not. They don't have like. Also, thanks Zoltan for sharing this. So the thing is that because it's a plain array, what happens is that there's no way to map, for instance, one of the messages is actually a command, and or for instance in an RPC context, there's no way to map that this message is the response of this other message, or you know what I mean, right? So it's like there's no way to do this. It will be great to have this. I think regarding RPC there's something, but regarding CQRS, like annotating if it's a command or if it's a query kind of message, there's nothing, right? You have to use extensions. So I will ask you please to create an issue. I left the link there before Sultan's comment on where to create this issue. Like, what would you love to do with AsyncAPI that is not possible regarding CQRS or regarding other stuff, of course. And we're constantly working on this, right? So yeah, feel free to suggest any improvements. You don't have to suggest how you want it to happen. Maybe just mention that you wanted to do X and it wasn't possible, right? So yeah, I will appreciate if you take the time. Other than that, I can. Sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, yeah, that was my another ask. That message type, whether it is command message or query message, that was also. So I would like to share what I have. I was able to create the document or AsyncAPI document, and what we would like to have on specification to support CQRS. So on the GitHub issues, I can specify all those details, right?
Please, if you can do it, of course, that will be amazing. And then
sure.
from there we can work on adding support for more, let's say, native support for CQRS and AsyncAPI. That would be great. Because we're having the same. Sorry. Go ahead.
Finish. Sorry.
So we're having the same kind of request for RPC, right? Like people want to have annotate the messages if a message is a request or if it's a response, right? It wasn't in our mind in our minds either when we created AsyncAPI. So it's but that's a valid concern as well, and this is something that we'll have to work on probably this year, right? So same thing, like annotating messages in a way to specify if it's a command or a query or a request or a response, or and linking between them, maybe like this is a response of this request. This needs to be possible and doable at some point. We need to, of course, understand more and come up with a solution, but this needs to be done for sure. So Zoltan, you were saying something.
I think it's what you said on that. I think the valid way, or maybe that's what you're saying also, the recommended way, if you have this kind of needs, the best to do is if you already said that you created an extension. So I think all these kind of improvements is good to start as an extension, or and then the community can evaluate. Then when that leads to the question. If you have done something, for example, as an extension, it's great if you can publish it, I think. So maybe you're maintaining your extension in GitHub as an open source also, so you can do that, and then the community can chip in. That could be also a great way of bringing more people and debating on that. And then this leads to the question to you. I mean, do you have some kind of list of extensions or curated or known extensions, or so where people can see? It's also interesting. I was just looking into the open API space if there is an official list, but there is no official list. Of course, there will be no official list or never been, and it's impossible to maintain one. But it's always good to have one.
I think King can answer you.
Yeah, I have a list. I have a list. It's not published yet. It will be probably in about a week. An open API extension list, because cool. I'm working on trying to pull together kind of the overlays and extensions conversation around open API. So also quick background, I'm now the co-chair for the OAI as of this week. Isabel and I are the co-chairs for the OAI. So creating an extensions directory as well as interoperability between the specs is top of mind right now. So
cool. That's great.
So congratulations, man.
Yeah.
Well deserved for this long-term job that you've been doing on APIs. So yeah.
Cool.
To answer your question, Zoltan, as well, one of the things that we have in mind for this year is to create an extensions registry or catalog, or call it whatever you want. And ideally, it will be browsable, to discover, and searchable to discover existing extensions. It's more like like a registry of packages, like npm is for JavaScript or Maven or for Java and all of that. And ideally, this is something that we'll have to see how to do it. Our parser should be integrated with it. So if you want to use extensions and validate those extensions on the parsing or the validation process, it will be possible. So right now extensions are ignored in validation. They're not validated at all.
Sure.
And so it will be possible to be able to grab the machine readable definition of an extension and tell the parser to validate it, right, against this definition on the registry. So this is an idea that we have in mind. So we'll need an API for that.
Yeah, just be careful not to over-engineer this,
Exactly. We need to be careful with this. So
yes, please.
This is just that's why it's like this is just like an idea we have to explore. We have to debate how far do we want to go with this, or if we want to implement it at all. So yeah, it's like just ideas that we have in mind. There's no roadmap. I'm not creating a roadmap on purpose, because every time I create a roadmap, I never honor the roadmap. So in my opinion, having dates on a roadmap is just bullshit. So sorry for the word, but so yeah, instead of maintaining a roadmap, what we're gonna have very soon is like a list of features or options or things that we might implement or we might consider without a date, right? And yeah, so probably we'll do this. Well, most probably we'll do this. We'll have this extensions registry. Having the extension registry is for sure something that we'll have. If it's integrated with the tooling, that's another question. But having the registry is fine, because as you said, people can start reusing these extensions, the existing ones, find them and discover them, and then using them, and then they become kind of somehow standardize extensions if you want, but
Precisely.
without becoming part of the spec itself, without polluting the spec, right? And
Yeah, precisely.
and then after, and you can iterate there as fast as you can, as you want, right? You don't have to wait for the release cycle of the spec. And then once we think that this is something that should be included into the core spec, and it's mature and it's stable, then we include it into the spec. So yeah, so that's an idea that, like I said, this is all to be worked on. So we need to work on even on setting up the team to take care of this, and and the plans and everything. So
Yep.
we're writing down this, but we should soon see the outcome. So yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Keep it simple, stupid. Create a GIST, create a GIST with a list of links. So then here you go, you have the repository. So I mean,
well, you gotta be careful with this, because then some people go to the gist and some people go to the new registry, and then you have everything like sparse and divided.
I know.
And it's like, so that's why we're taking it like, we're sharing it, but whenever someone asks, but we're not promoting it on purpose, so it doesn't get spread in multiple and threaded,
I know.
right?
I know what you mean.
places.
I know what you mean.
So yeah. So yeah, there was actually a repo for this. Extensions catalog, I think it's called. So yeah, let me just share this with you. There was some preliminary work, which is probably outdated now, but it's there at least.
Cool.
So yeah, there's the intent. That's exactly the intent of this, right? But to have a catalog or registry of extensions.
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
So that's one thing. Anything else, guys? Folks?
Would this call be a good place to discuss some of the GitHub issues? Maybe some of the ones that are a bit stale or maybe not being too active. I was wondering if it might help sort of make some progress on some of them.
On which one? Sorry, I missed that part.
I haven't got a particular one in mind. It was more an idea of, is this a good forum for discussing ideas that people have contributed? Like, I know I've put a couple in, but I don't mean particularly just mine.
I think the best place for long-term discussions and slow discussions is GitHub. So GitHub issues, depending on what the issue is about. If it's about the spec, you have to go to the AsyncAPI repo on the AsyncAPI organization. I think that's the best place. If you want to have some quick chat about something, and then maybe reflect it into an issue, I think the best place is to go to Slack. But I think you're already on Slack, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that. I will say that will be the best part, the best way to do it. And just to make it clear, right now we are in the process of changing how everything works at AsyncAPI in terms of organization. So we're gonna be moving into an open source foundation, likely something like like a Linux Foundation. So we'll have to define all these things. How do we collaborate? What's the process of selecting certain issues and voting and all this stuff? So this is about to be done basically. And also, as you may know already, we joined Postman recently. I will say that all of the team or most of the team. So yeah, so we're still landing at Postman as well. So and informing the team there. So this is all gonna be changing soon, and yeah, hopefully will be formalized. Also,
does this affect this fora, or how do you see that? How will be? Do you have anything you can highlight from this new structure already, or so?
I mean, the structure is the structure that we're seeking here is everything is. By the way, everything is going to be like done transparently. So we don't have so much to share yet because we didn't do it anything. We didn't do anything yet. We are right now selecting where we want to go, like if we want to go to Linux Foundation or somewhere else. Once we are into this foundation, I guess the process will be setting up all the legals, all the IP stuff for the project into that foundation, and then the structure of the team will be most probably something similar to what OpenAPI is doing. Which is like technical steering committee taking care of the spec, and that's I will say that's it. I don't think we'll emulate everything that OpenAPI is doing, but we'll take some ideas from OpenAPI, from Apache projects, from different open source projects. I think Redis is another good example, and some others, right? So we need to come up with this structured definition. But just to make it clear, some people will be working, or most of the people will be working on the tooling, because there's a lot of work on the tooling, on the basic tooling. That's what I mean. So basic meaning, or core tooling, if you want, because it's not actually basic. Core tooling like the parser, the documentation and code generators, the CLI to work with AsyncAPI, all this core tooling that can then be used by other companies to create better products, right? So, or to use it on their CI/CD pipelines or whatever, or their dev process. So most of the work is going to happen there. It's going to be probably one or two teams working on API tooling, and also some other people working on the spec. Who's going to be working on the spec side? Don't know yet. So I have some ideas. I've been talking to some people, but until they don't reply, of course we cannot share anything, right? So yeah, I'm pinging some people, and then as a starting point, right? This will be the starting point. From there on, we'll be doing, inviting people to join so that the committee will be inviting people to join other people. The committee will be inviting people to join to the committee, by reference. Like I want to invite this guy because I like what he's been doing on AsyncAPI for a long time. So, you know what I mean? So it's like, this is just, we're gonna set up the beginning, the foundations of the project. And then from there on it will depend on the committee, on the technical committee, on how this is gonna evolve, right? So yeah, that's all I can say right now.
Cool.
Not because I want to hide anything. It's I don't have anything else. It's not yet.
Yeah, sure. Interesting.
Lots of work, I can tell you.
Yeah. I can. Yeah, you guys have big plans as usual, so I think it's not a surprise. Yeah. So big ambitions. That brings forward. So
yeah, I still have only like small ambitions. Like going on holidays or something like this. Go to the forest.
Yeah. Don't forget to reach out for help if you need. Yeah.
Of course. So, and same thing is, if you think that any of you want to get involved more closely to the project, and we are not reaching out to you or something, like feel free to ping us on Slack and say, hey, just raise your hand and say like, hey, I want to help more. Just count on me, and whenever we are working on this, we'll take into account for sure. Now, Zoltan, for instance. But I mean, like, an example is, I will say, an example is Lucas. So Lucas was part of the community before I hired him back a year ago, more or less, almost a year ago now. Yeah, he was always looking to help and talking to me, so it was natural, right? And then same thing happened with Jonas and Maciek, who are here on the call as well. They were the biggest contributors of AsyncAPI aside from Lucas and I. So yeah, so it was natural as well. Like, we're happy to onboard new contributors for sure. It's not that we're happy, we need it. Otherwise, otherwise the project is there, right? So
Definitely.
yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay. So anything else someone wants to cover? We get some time still. No?
Not much now. I'm still, I'm one of the in somewhere in summer or somewhere I mentioned this catalog problem space. I'm still digging into this one, and it's an interesting area that I could say that from an enterprise architecture point of view. What I'm working with, it's in this year I already got some good interesting discussions about this catalogs or integration catalogs across technologies like OpenAPI, AsyncAPI, GraphQL, SOA, Eddy, all these things. So that's still on an ongoing journey for me. You pointed me some of these works at cloud events. So I think that's something will be popping up through the year, how this standard supported across, especially for bigger enterprises, because that's where now with this microservice architectures and all these things, this kind of population is kind of getting messy. So I have to say that I'm looking forward to continue that journey and see that, for example, like Rapid API or other vendors, how they are implementing this kind of supports for making registries across. So that's an interesting development. Of course, I'm looking at it from a high level, so it's not a technical level; it's more like a governance level. But interesting to see there is a demand, definitely a demand, and because you also mentioned that you have this endeavor of the AsyncAPI hub or something, yes? Or what was it?
What do you mean?
So when you have, I've seen somewhere, so that when you can have a registry of your AsyncAPIs or whatever. So, but people looking for things like across.
Oh, yeah.
What was it? What was it? I don't remember.
It was AsyncAPI Hub, yeah. But this is slightly repurposed now. Like this.
I know.
So yeah.
I know.
By the way,
so it's an interesting development there. So that's I think it's an interesting topic. But of course, it's not on a technical level. It's not in the. It's more like. When I'm looking for these things, I'm always asking, like, I have the list of asking which kind of technologies they should support. And my usual list was like GraphQL, OpenAPI, and so on. And now I'm adding, okay, do you have AsyncAPI also? And people like looking at what does that? So that's
what the hell is that? Yeah. So I think regarding lists of technologies and governance, I think Kinlane has a good list. I'm waking you up, mate.
So I'm actually here. Here's a link in the chat. This is totally proof of concept right now, just to sell the OAI. But this is my API specification toolbox, which is here's all the standards that you should be considering and thinking about. And I was just adding Avro and Thrift and others this morning. So I haven't done that push yet, but then here's the specs, here's the kind of news around the specs. Here's the commercial services that you adopt the specs. Here's the open source tools, and this is across all of them. And then here's videos. You mentioned, API Days videos. I'm doing API specification conference, so I'm aggregating videos here. and all of this runs on GitHub. So this is meant to be a community project that anyone can just submit a pull request and add anything to the list.
Wow.
But this is me trying to, so I'm trying to pull it together because I'm, trying to reach out to all of the providers, the service providers, and going, how are you using the specs? What, how much of the specs do you support? And then widening that, this is JSON schemas in here too. I was just pinging Daniel from Curl, behind Curl, asking him what his needs are. And so I'm really trying to, as part of, and then trying to get the OAI to put some money investing in actually moving this forward to drive the conversations around this. So this is all still work in progress. It's not quite ready, but you're welcome to browse around and provide me with any feedback or thoughts of what you would like to see here. So
definitely, I was not ever of this, but it looks pretty cool. I might promote this also if you say so.
Well, feel free. I mean, feel free to share it as is.
Okay.
I'm not afraid of my work being out in the public and people, being unfinished. That's how I work. So it doesn't scare me. I actually probably should add a GitHub link to the GitHub repo behind this so people can submit GitHub issues and pull requests. I notice I don't have one. So yeah,
pretty
yeah,
cool.
feel free to share feedback because yeah, I kind of feel like right now is the time to kind of start unifying the vision because I get a lot of questions. I mean, I worked on the API blueprint, RAML kind of Swagger early days. And there was always the question, when are we going to have one spec to rule them all? And I said, never. And then I know we get the same question now with async and open API. And I'm like, my same answer, never. We're going to have multiple specs for a long time. But with that said, we need better interoperability. We need better, not just technical interoperability, but business and financing and all of that. So yeah, this is my effort to do that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so
totally agree. Totally agree.
That's also one of the plans, I would say, long-term plans for AsyncAPI is to become more in the technical sense, to become more interoperable with other specs, right? So you probably have realized that we already support JSON schema as the schema language for defining, the message schemas, but we also support Avro and RAML, right? So RAML data types and Avro, right? So that was done on purpose, and we want to continue growing on that path, not on supporting every kind of language ourselves, because that will be unmanageable. But the spec must be at least ready to do it, to support it. The tooling, it's another thing. The tooling, you might be able to implement all these things, or you might not, depending on the number of combinations that we end up having. But for instance, one of the things is we have an HTTP binding on AsyncAPI, and right now it's custom, is something that we made in a few weeks. Like, okay, let us define some HTTP interaction, some HTTP protocol things on the interaction. And after some time working on this, I realized like, oh, this is OpenAPI. What I'm doing here inside the HTTP binding is actually an OpenAPI operation. So why am I duplicating the work and doing it in another way? So next version, it's still in 0 point something. So next version is gonna probably break what we have, but in the binding itself. But next version is gonna be like, no, this is actually an OpenAPI operation. It doesn't have to be something different. And we don't define how the OpenAPI operation works. OpenAPI does that, right? So, and OpenAPI maintains this. And at some point, we might also end up supporting GraphQL schemas, right? For the schema definitions of the data. Maybe not right inside the file, but using something like $ref or similar to link to an existing file defining a GraphQL schema, or a gRPC or protobuf message somewhere in another file, right? This will work. All of this will work together, because nobody is using only OpenAPI or only AsyncAPI, or sorry, nobody's doing only REST APIs or only event-driven architecture or only gRPC or only GraphQL. You know, people are using all of them, right? Like a mix of them, right? And you cannot force people to use only your technology, because that would be stupid, right? From our side, like I mean, it will be like an ego booster for us, for ourselves, to say like, hey, we won the spec battle, because we, like King was saying, like, hey, we become the spec of specs. Yeah, for us, for our ego will be great, but for people it will be a pain, right? Like it will be like, I have to migrate everything that I have on OpenAPI and in GraphQL and in blah blah blah. You know, I have to migrate everything. No, why? Again, a new technology again. Even if you succeed, it will be not. It will not be good for the people. So we don't want that. So we want to make something useful, and in useful, I want to underline the word use, right? So it's useful, right? Because it's something that you have to be able to use yourself, right? As and easy, right? So yeah. So there must be a solution, an easier solution. I know that in the past some people took the decision to say like, no, we're not going to maintain this, or we're not going to support this or this and this and this and that, because it's going to become too complicated. But it's your job, right? It's your job to handle this complexity. Or are you handling this complexity to the users? And sorry for the word, but and you say fuck them. They handle the every time I say a word like this, Kean looks at me like, this guy speaks so bad. So
hey, it's a public
so,
channel, you know, you have to keep your
so it's like, no, but it's true. It's like we are here to handle this complexity. We should not be the ones telling you, please handle this complexity for us, right? Of course we have to start slow and simple and all of that, right? But at some point this is going to become complex, because the world is complex. So yeah,
maybe there's a practical implication what you're saying here, and or that question about modeling axon things. Maybe for you, maybe have you considered to combining AsyncAPI and OpenAPI spec to model and document your axon message flows? Isn't that an answer? I don't know. I'm just you know, instead
I
of
haven't tried myself.
no, I'm just saying that was that question about axon, the axon
yeah.
commands and CQRS sub. Who was that? Swapnil?
This was me, Swapnil. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you considered to combine OpenAPI and AsyncAPI to document and model that thing, what you have to achieve, instead of just you know, shoehorning into one spec? I don't know if does it has any meaning. I don't know your use case. I'm just.
Well, really speaking, Axon is for event-driven microservices. So, and OpenAPI specs more towards the APIs, synchronous API calls, I would say. So because in Axon, we have everything as message, that is command message and an event message or query message. It seems to fit more with the Async API, and whatever POC we did over last week, just a week we spent, it really seems that it fits more into Async API world rather than OpenAPI.
That's fine. That's fine.
Can I ask you one question? Because like regarding Axon, I don't really know so well the framework. Is it imposing their own protocol, or you can use it with different protocols?
It is gRPC. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it is gRPC always. It has to be gRPC always.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
That's
so I
the
guess in this
Axon
case,
server. That is Axon server basically, and we have Axon framework as well, which is independent, which uses the database as the message event store. In that case, it is not required to have gRPC for, because the command bus is implemented in the framework itself. So we are just sending the message on the bus, and that is internally implemented.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for that. Yeah. So yeah, I guess at some point, AsyncAPIs will be able to help here with gRPC and protobuf. But because you define the messages with protobuf, right? Or you don't define your messages at all?
The server defines it. So for an application, for an application, it is just creating Java POJOs, Java objects, but the server is taking care of, serializing it to a proper protobuf message.
Okay, I see. So I will say it's a code first tool. You write the code, and then the code is responsible for registering those messages in the server and using.
Yeah. Today it is code first tool. Yes. What we are, me and the other guy, Vijay, he was gonna join, but he couldn't join. So what we are trying to do is, build. You do event storming session, and you come up with the commands and queries and types of messages, and then we want to generate documentation and code for it, and then use it in the application. So we are trying to reverse the flow. But today it is code first, yes.
Okay, no, it's okay. I mean, you can actually use a combination of both, right? Like, you can continue like that way. Like you start, like you said, designing what the API is going to look like, and then before you even have the code, you write the AsyncAPI file, and then you use the AsyncAPI file to generate the code, and then you can continue from the code. You can continue from there, right? So that's totally fine.
That is our intention. That is the end state what we are looking at, and then we keep on maintaining it using the spec, so that whenever a new message comes or the version upgrade happens on the message, we maintain it using AsyncAPI spec. That was the idea.
Yeah, at some point regarding that, let's say that conversation or context, something that I've been trying to play in my mind with is something like a framework. I'm not saying that it has to be an AsyncAPI framework. Maybe talk to the existing framework authors and discuss AsyncAPI integration directly to the framework. So I was thinking that maybe you don't have to choose either design first or code first, but rather what you do is it's like you get the best of both worlds, right? Which is you define the AsyncAPI file first, if you want. That will be one way of doing it, and you along with your code, you place the file there. Can be discussed if it's the best way or not, but I'm gonna just throw my thoughts. So along with the code, you put the AsyncAPI file, and then imagine Axon server or Axon framework, I don't know. So Axon reads this AsyncAPI file to understand how the messages should look like, right? Or how to register those messages in the server, or it will create the POJOs for you, so you didn't have to do it, right? And then your let's say your application will become only business logic, right? Because all this code that you have to maintain sometimes, like a POJO with serializing, deserializes, Surdes, right? It's always the same. It's a repeating thing that you do over and over in every project, and it's like, why do we want to maintain this, right? It will be great, of course, that you can override this if you want. You have the possibility to do it. That will be great. But I don't know if you follow me. Like it will be super great to have like framework, say Axon, or say what's it called? The Spring framework, right? Spring, imagine Spring framework being integrated directly with AsyncAPI or OpenAPI as well. In a sense of you don't have to register the publish or the subscribe. Sorry, the publish is different, but you don't have to register the subscribes because the framework is going to read the file, the AsyncAPI file, and subscribe for you automatically. It's going to generate on the fly. It's going to generate the POJOs. In the case of OpenAPI, it will generate the endpoints for get, put, post on specific paths. So you don't have to do it in your code and in your OpenAPI file, right? You do it only on your OpenAPI file, and the framework creates the OpenAPI file as a config file, right? As if it were a config file, a true config file. So doing it like this, if we can manage to do it like this for OpenAPI, for AsyncAPI, and also for GraphQL and so on, and gRPC, if we manage to do it this way, documentation will always be up to date with the code, because if it's not up to date, your code will not work, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know
absolutely.
what I mean?
Following,
So,
yeah, I'm following. Only concern with this is at a lot of if we are maintaining POJOs, that is fine, because nobody is going to manually update them, and we can have it decoupled from the application completely. If we are putting onto something like Spring controllers where get and put and types of messages, a lot of people tend to write some sort of business logic at those points, and then it will be difficult to maintain them using automation tool. But yeah, go ahead.
So what I was thinking is more about, like, this is the default, right? This is the default the framework offers you, but of course you can override this behavior, right? Like you can, it will be great. Like for instance, you might be interested in completely automating the generation of the POJOs, but some people might not be happy with that. So so it should be you should be able, using the framework integration with AsyncAPI or OpenAPI, to define your own POJOs, for instance, right? And you maintain it yourself. It will be like a kind of duplicate work, because you will have to maintain it into the AsyncAPI definition and in your POJO definition in your code, and they have to match. But again, the code can take care, the framework can take care that they truly match, so they actually define the same thing. But you should be able to define it yourself by hand if you want. For instance, like you said, some people using Spring framework, they tend to put some business logic on some annotations or in some places where it should probably not be located, right? So again, like this should be overridable, right? I don't know, like just throwing thoughts, like maybe this could be interesting for some people, but for sure this is something that I mean, we could create an AsyncAPI framework that will do that. Will do this thing, but yeah, if you already have, like, you know, American Express already has a bunch of microservices using Axon. Tell them to migrate everything to the AsyncAPI framework, right? And it's gonna tell you like, yes, sure.
Yeah,
right.
That is the intention. True.
So it's almost nobody's starting from scratch here. So there needs to be a solution that fits also this use case where people already has a lot of code already written in a specific framework. So, and then they can slowly adapt, right? So yeah, I don't know, just throwing some thoughts here that maybe this could be interesting. Cool. So it's almost time. And if anything else someone wants to cover? No. So I'm sad that nobody noticed or mentioned that we don't have Lucas today on the call. So yeah.
Hey, is this call recorded? I think it is recorded, right? You will be.
It is. Yeah. It is.
Okay.
It's
You will be
recorded
publishing
and
the link. Good.
and I uploaded to YouTube, to our YouTube channel. So let
Yep.
me. It's gonna be a kind of meta once we upload this into YouTube, right? And with a YouTube link. But yeah.
Should I be worried? What'd you do to Lukasz?
You should be worried what happened to Lucas, not what I did.
Is he okay?
No, he's okay. He's okay.
Okay.
Totally fine. Yes. But you see, nobody asked.
We are respecting privacy, you know.
Yeah. And yeah, just to finish, I wanted to welcome Marc DiPasquale to the call. 1 hour late.
I need to move that out of my calendar then, yeah.
So yeah, man. So welcome. I know it's 2021 and you might be a little bit delayed, but yeah. Sorry.
No problem. I have the recurring. I have the recurring,
yeah,
recurring meeting on my calendar. I'll have to switch it. Yeah.
I hope there is no mistake on the calendar, and that's why you got the event wrong. I don't know. I hope so. So yeah, thanks for joining today, and yeah, take care. See you around pretty soon.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.